We can handle it.
Haha. Hi there. Hi there. Happy Valentine's Day. Welcome back to Creative Kickstart. I'm Danny Gregory, and I'm joined by Nicki Traikos, who
Hey
is
everyone, happy Valentine's.
yes. It's so nice to be seeing. It's actually very nice to see the world through rose-colored glasses.
Mine are
Although
blue glasses, but I was jealous of yours, so I had to grab mine. I love your glasses.
I have a strong desire to listen to Elton John songs now for some reason.
I wonder why.
I think I have to take these off. But yes. Anyway, back to reality.
Here we
Yes, as Lorraine says, hit the thumbs up, please, dear friends. Thank you for reminding that everybody of that. So, good. Well, it's so nice to be back for day 3 of Creative Kickstart, brought to you by Windsor Newton and by Sketchbook School and by Design I Life. Is it
Life,
Life I Design? What does the I stand for? I. Ah, of course.
I.
Aye, 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 aye. Aye. Okay.
Like we're a little silly today. It's the Valentine's energy, and
It's
it's
true.
Wednesday, hump day.
But also we're being creatively kickstarted. I feel like I'm like excited by ideas and stuff, don't you?
I like our pre live chats too. And I feel like from Monday to today, we're really opening up. Like we're really starting to loosen up a little bit. I don't know if anyone else has noticed that, but I feel a little bit more relaxed and yeah, just comfortable. What about you? Have you noticed a difference since Monday?
Yeah, I think it's nice to every day be thinking about how can I change? How can I grow? What can I try? What can I learn? What did Nikki do that I think is interesting? What am I doing that I want to change about what I'm doing? I don't necessarily have answers to all this stuff, but I'm thinking about it, and it's interesting and it's energizing in a way to have kind of this novel way of looking at stuff flowing through me. So
Love it.
yeah,
Can I interrupt you for one sec? It's
please.
Elizabeth Davies' birthday, and she got some Windsor
Oh,
and Newton vouchers to spend. So happy birthday! Thanks for spending it with us too.
that's so nice. Yes, good. Well, maybe today you'll also spend them on some Winsor Newton watercolor pencils because that's what we're going to be working with today. We're going to be working with pencils and watercolor. Probably you're going to be working with gouache as well.
I chose gouache just because I usually work with watercolor, so I'm inspired to play around with
Yeah,
it a bit today.
yeah. I mean, and I think again, you know, the only rule is there aren't really any rules. So if you want to bring in anything, if you want to bring in markers, if you want to bring in acrylics, if you want to bring in ketchup, whatever you want to bring in is fine. Just try stuff out you haven't done before. So
I want to
yes,
see the ketchup. If you do use ketchup, tag us. I want to see.
yeah. So good. That's odd. How is it that I am here and yet I'm commenting on this and yet I'm here on screen? Somebody's obviously signed in as me rather than Sketchbook School. Anyway, yes, JJ is not here today. She is taking her mother to the dentist. And that's more important. She's had her teeth for a long time. She needs them checked out. It's me, Danny, says JJ, your wife. I
She
don't know.
is here. That's
She's here.
amazing.
I don't know where she is. Maybe she's in the dentist's office. That could well be it.
Yeah.
Debbie says that she does paint with coffee and tea. So
Yeah.
ketchup, why not? I have painted with ketchup. It's not that great. It turns kind of darkish brown and it makes your sketchbook smell like French fries, which isn't that bad, but yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
So we have nickel jump from Germany. Excellent. We've got
Wow.
people from all over are creatively kickstarting. That's excellent. Good. So I'm let's I'd like to talk about yesterday. So yesterday we did lettering, and
Hmm.
I don't know about you, but I went back afterwards and I just fiddled with it a little bit.
Same.
Yeah. So I just want to, I there were things. I mean, it was there was we didn't. I think we had like maybe 15 to 20 minutes each to do this whole thing.
Mhm.
So it was not a lot of time. And I spent another like 20 minutes, I think, doing stuff. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Virginia loves Windsor Newton products. Good. Share the love. So
So
yeah, so let's just go over and have a look at what we did. Here's my desk, but let me put I can't get my camera to go far enough back, so I'm just going to put up a photo of this. So what I did is I went back in and I just kind of sharpened the edges, like the word growing. And then, do you remember I had forgotten to put in experiment?
hmm
So yeah, so I kind of I did that. You see in the green of the,
pencil.
I just did that experimenting, and
Mhm.
I generally I put in just sharper letters, so keep this in one place. Like the taking risks, I sharpened that all up. I put the water underneath it. I splattered some stuff over it. Um, yeah. So, but let's have a look at yours and see where you got to, because I want to talk about the whole experience a bit, because I have
So I
some
want to
things,
just
some
mention about
thoughts.
yours. I feel like it's really brave. I feel like it's bold, and it's really creative. So I know there are parts of it that you thought were maybe too much, but when I look at it, I think it's a piece that is has a lot of courage. That's how I feel. Really,
That's
just a fun use of
I think that's a
variety.
diplomatic way of saying it, but yes, I feel like I think my regrets are. I was saying this to you earlier. I feel like I had a lot of ideas, and this
hmm
is often my downfall. Lots of small ideas. You know, like I thought, like, oh, the inventing, I'll put in a light bulb, and growing, I'll make the letters grow, and then I'll have the guy jumping off the high board, and it's kind of like that game. Remember Mousetrap, the game where there's like all these different things happen, and then, but I kind of didn't think about the big picture that much. And I think that that's the problem, is like you have to have a big idea as well as a small idea, lots of small ideas. And the small ideas have to add up to the big idea. So it ends up feeling a little doodly.
hmm
And I think I could have solved it by perhaps having a smaller palette range so that the colors kind of connected with each other a bit more. There is the interlocking of the different elements, so they do form kind of sort of a shape. But yeah, I think if I'd had more time and I hadn't been live on YouTube in front of hundreds of people, I probably would have done it differently. But I thought about that, and I was inspired by yours, because yours, if you want to put yours up, yours
Yeah,
was
I'll pop it on
yours
my
yeah,
desk.
yours had both the small and the large. You had, yeah, you have the type in the middle, and but it's consistent. So there's two different styles, and but it connects to each other. Yeah, you use different colors, but they're all in the same range. And then you have the consistency of the frame around it. That it's all, again, there's energy, and there's diversity within it. There's variation, so it remains interesting, but it all feels consistent. It's a frame with a thing in the middle. So it's just a
Mhm.
thing to think about.
It's very safe.
Is that how you feel about it? Yeah.
Safe, which is fine. And yesterday was yesterday, right? And I know we talked a little bit about like I'm not feeling well this week. I'm kind of under the weather, so that comes out in your art, right?
Sure.
So again, this was yesterday's piece. It is what it is. It was a great experience to try the markers, which I'd never really worked with that much. And picking up a dip pen again. It's been a while where I've actually just freehanded a quote, and it turned out it's okay, right? Like, do I love it? There are pieces of it that I wish I had done differently. And because I'm such a fan of watercolor, I would have loved to do the embellishments in watercolor. Yeah, but it's an inspiring quote. So, and that
Some
was
of my
yesterday.
favorite things are those blue kind of leaves down at the bottom, right above Maya Angelou. I love the how they're sort of translucent, and then you can see the veins inside of them. It's just really nice.
That was the ink, and I just went back with it. But I tried to show you earlier before we hopped on the live this emerald ink with a bit of that gold
Oh
calligraphy.
yes, now I see it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I'm definitely going to play around with more. It just has such a sophisticated feel, and I'll use it on watercolor paper to experiment that. So with that, so yeah, it was the emerald with the gold.
It's funny. Mine came with brilliant green, not emerald. I wonder if I opened the wrong box. But I have emerald too. So
It was
emerald
this
is a beautiful
combination,
color.
two calligraphy inks actually.
Yeah.
They were just gorgeous together. together. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all these colors are so nice. These are let me just turn that back on here. You can see, like, these are all the colors of those drawing inks. Once I focus there. Just really nice. I mean, scarlet doesn't really look like scarlet, but it's a really nice color.
Hmm.
And that's the brilliant green. Whereas the emerald's a bit bluer, a bit, yeah, this is more yellow.
I was probably more heavy-handed with how much water was on my brush versus ink.
Yeah.
So I had really nice dark, and it's a gorgeous, yeah, emerald green.
Yeah, so you were using vermilion. You can see the vermilion there, right? And
Hmm.
then canary, probably. Or is it sunshine? Anyway, they're very nice. All right, good. So let's get back to let's get back to today's assignment.
Hmm.
So because it's Valentine's Day, we decided that we would draw a rose, and it's sort of watercolory as well. I mean, I think roses, Valentine's Day, it's sort of the romantic side of watercolors.
Hmm.
So that is the assignment for today. Now, as we've been doing, because we have so many views going on at the same time, this is how this works. I'm going to put up a picture of the rose that we're going to draw, and you're welcome to do a screen grab if you want to draw along with us. So do a screen grab. I'll leave it up there for a few seconds, not a few seconds, 30 seconds, let's say. Take a screen grab. Let me put it up there. And here it is. So there's the whole picture, and then I just gave you a slightly tighter one if you want that. But feel free to draw this or another rose or whatever you want, or just watch us. So do that, and then you can draw from that, because we're not going to show that again. Nicki and I both have it. We have our own screen grabs, but we just don't have the real estate on our screens to put all that stuff in. So, yes. And Nicki, you're going first, right?
Sure, I can go first.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So Nicki's going to go first. And so you're going to go first for 10 minutes. Then I'll go
Okay.
for 10 minutes, and then we'll go back and forth, and we'll see how it works. But
Okay.
yeah, I'm going to set a
So
timer
what
for you.
I
Yes.
decided to do last night was I wanted to have a background on my watercolor paper. So this is Winsor Newton's cold press cotton. Just because I don't normally do backgrounds in my pieces. So I thought, wouldn't it be nice to have that rose? And I want to draw it fairly large on this blue background, because it'll kind of be abstracted. It'll emulate the sky a little bit. And then I thought I would grab the watercolor pencils to use as my under layer or my sketch, and then even play around with activating them, and then just sort of make sure that I don't activate my background. So we're experimenting. I'm going to play and see how it goes. And if these lighter pinks don't work on top of my blue, then I'll switch them up. I might even do something bold, like switch colors completely, or I can even use this red. And I've got, let's do the bright green or lush green. So let's do red and lush green, just because I want you to be able to see it on the page. So when I'm looking at the reference, so again, hopefully you have your screenshot handy. What I like to do is pretty much figure out where the actual focal point is going to be. So I really want that side view of the flower, and to make it the bolder bit or the bolder piece. So I'm just going to pick a spot that speaks to me on this rose. And my goal isn't to replicate it, because I do tend to be a little bit more realistic or literal with some of my drawings, and I'm trying not to be. So I want them to be expressive. So here are the curly petals that are just laying outwards a little bit. And then we've got the base of the rose here. So I'm glad I chose this red, because I feel like it might be a nice outline. And plus you can see it, which is really cool. So I also love to work on florals, because you can be expressive and have the lines be really organic. Um, and kind of make it up as you go, which is neat. As long as you keep in mind a flower grows from the center and outwards, then yeah, you can change it. Use your artistic liberties. Let me move it down a bit so you can start to see that rose and all of the little petals, hopefully. coming to life. And then we'll go in with color to create a little bit of depth. And again, if I was working off a printed reference, I tend to use the finger of my left hand to just kind of keep my eye in focus,
You mean
especially when there's
you rest your finger on the part of the reference where you are? Is that what you mean?
yeah, and then I'll kind of follow along so that I know where I am in the reference because there's a lot happening in this photo, right? It's just a way for my brain to settle in on the area that I'm really focused on in drawing. And then here at the top, I may not even look at the reference. I'll look at the composition that's on my page to make sure that it's balanced and it's interesting looking. And even looking at the bottom bit. So I'm happy with that so far. I can go in and add a little bit more detail later on. But what I want to do now is start to add in the green of the, let me even tuck this one in. And even draw this one. So again, I need to add in a little bit more of the base. And I don't mind it being off page. And then pick up my red, and I feel like this needs to be tucked in there. So I'm pretty happy with that. I might even add a little bit of something there just to feel like I've closed it a tiny bit. So it can kind of be a bit of a contour line drawing, if you will. It doesn't need to be really sophisticated, but I think I might even put in a leaf here.
How about a thorn?
No, it's Valentine's. We're not going to add thorns. Yeah, we totally could.
So when do you think about the fact that when we're working with watercolor pencils and then you do watercolor over it, it's like it's a different experience than if you're just using either a graphite pencil or a regular non-watercolor pencil when you draw, right? Because these lines are they're not going to hold if you watercolor over them. Is that what you're planning to do? Right? Because they will start to dissolve in the water.
So they'll move, but it really depends on how much water you have on your brush. So with watercolor, you're in control. Like it's really taking time. I think I went too thick on my stem, but that's okay. It's really about taking time. Here it is. Hopefully you can see the whole thing. And when you're activating the watercolor, to have a brush that's damp versus wet. And then what I can do with this red is I'm creating areas where I want a little bit of depth. So I want this part to be darker. And yes, I'm looking at my reference just to see where their lights and darks are. So I can start building them up. But I'm also going to allow myself a little bit of creative freedom. But if I just lightly, and just using the side of the pencil, just scratch it in a slight bit. This bit looks like it has a little bit going on, so we can create some interest. And then I'll grab some water to show you what will happen. But my plan is to go in with a little bit of gouache as well. I don't know. Remember when we first started chatting, we said we kind of have an idea, but we don't. I just want today to be a little bit of play and experimenting with the background, if that makes sense. So I think
It does. I mean, I think there is definitely an idea in what you're doing because it feels so bold and graphic, and it's sort of bursting out of the edges of the page, and your lines are really strong and confident. So it feels like it's not going to be like a soft, misty watercolor memory kind of watercolor. It feels like it's going to be strong and vivid.
Yeah, and then I can add a bit of gouache for bulk, right? Because I feel like gouache being a little bit more. And again, so my brush isn't very wet, like it's not dripping wet. I'm going to show you actually when I dip it into the water, I just like scrape off a little bit. So those extra big puddles of water are not on my brush. And then this way, I'm not activating the watercolor that's on the background. I'm just moving around that really, and again, that's why I love Winsor & Newton products. See how pigmented? I really didn't apply a lot of watercolor pencil on the page, but look at how pigmented that is. It looks like you've just dipped into a puddle of watercolor that you mixed from a tube.
Yeah.
So start light because you can always be bold and add a little bit more.
He just heads up you have 2.5 minutes left.
What? Okay,
Well, you don't have to finish it. This is just for this phase.
Yeah, that's true. But then it can dry while you're working on yours. But see, look at how nice and pigmented that is. I really didn't apply that much watercolor pencil to the page. And I love that they're waxy. I don't know, they're different than some of the more gritty watercolor pencils that I've used. And I'm even just blending it out a bit and moving it around. I'm not sure what I'm going to do to the top. I might mix a light pink, but here's the green. So this green feels like it's too bright for me. I will definitely go over it maybe with the darker green. So this is, ooh, olive green would have been way better. So olive green, not the lush green that I chose. But again, I can play around with it when I move to the gouache. It's kind of looking okay. What do we think? It's big. I went big today. Just going to fill in some empty space too. And this is good. It'll give it a chance to dry. What I'm doing is just adding in a little bit of that red so that it fills in the space for when I am about to put in the gouache. So I might even at this point, while the paper is wet, ooh, this olive green is more my green. So I'm just going in, and I can even zoom in a tiny bit. So while the paper is wet, I'm just creating a little bit of shadow and depth. Oh, you can't see it. I'll move up here. And even in the edge a little bit. And because it's wet, I can add some veining. And the side is drier, so I can even just create a bit of interesting texture. Kind of see how it goes. This I would like to be darker as well.
All right, you're about to run out of time.
Okay.
Sad. But we have plenty of time. We have plenty of time to, and JJ's not here, so we could keep going for hours.
No one's going to put a timer on for us. Okay.
She's not going to come back from the dentist. Don't worry.
She won't be back in time.
So here's my thing. I was inspired by what you did, and so I put down a background too. This is actually ink. It is canary yellow ink, and it's just a wash. It seems kind of dark. It's not that dark. It's really bright, actually. Let me just fix my screen a bit so that it looks more chipper. I don't know what to do. I don't know where I'm going to go with this, so let's find out. It will be interesting.
Right? Experimenting.
Yeah. Let me just get my camera a bit brighter.
So Virginia's asking, do the drying inks bleed? I love a good explosion, and I love the word explosion to describe how they bleed together. And I would say yes. What would you say, Danny?
Bleed is, they run if you want them to, right? That's sort of the idea of it. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just trying to fix everything. I haven't started my timer yet, so I'm cheating a bit. But
it's okay. I won't tell.
What do you think? Bleed? Do they bleed into each other? They're water based, so they'll act like anything that's watery, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I would say bleed, like almost blend together for sure. And if you use them on wet paper and kind of splatter them, I think that would be a cool effect. And even moving the paper around, that would actually be a really neat background.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to start drawing, and I'm going to start my timer. Sorry, it's true. JJ should be here. There's juggling too many things here. All right.
I can set a timer for you if you need.
Yeah, I got one going now. Thanks.
Amazing.
So even though I was trying to be delicate, I'm immediately drawing really quickly.
So I love that you're working with the silhouette versus how I kind of look at the center and move up. It's neat to see the difference.
Why is this so? Sorry, it just feels like it's so. It's too big. Yeah. All right, I'm not gonna mess with the camera anymore. Yeah, this I tend to draw this way. I draw like an outside contour first,
Mhm.
and then I draw the inside bits. It doesn't always work, but it's just kind of the way I draw most things. It's sort of almost like a blind contour what I'm doing.
Mhm.
Yeah, the shape is sort of distorted a bit too.
That's the thing with contour drawings; they can be really interesting.
What I
I
like
like
about
it.
contour drawing is that, yeah, your line is really confident because you're just drawing a single sweeping line. You're not, you know, going back and forth and doing approximations. And again, I'm kind of barely looking at the drawing. So this rose is pretty fun to draw because it has all these layers to
Mhm.
it.
And
You can
again,
see
the
how,
side
yeah. Go ahead.
side view I think is a nice way to tackle it because the center can be a little bit confusing and almost sometimes I think boring because it's just so um, concentric, right, with the circles. So sometimes a
Yeah, it just
side,
looks like a spiral, as they say, from the top.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Um,
JJ signing off. See ya, JJ.
so, all right, I'm gonna start some watercolor because what I'm thinking is that what I want to do is I want to watercolor and then do colored pencil on top of it.
Okay.
So I'm gonna mix up some.
I'm cheating and adding a bit of that olive green to my green because I don't love it. Shh, don't tell anyone I'm cheating. I'm using Danny's time.
Hey, come on! I paid for this time. Let's go. Get off the stage. So yeah, so what I am doing. This is not watercolor paper, by the way. It's mixed media paper, but I don't really
And you,
love.
mhm.
Yeah, I don't really love drawing on watercolor paper. I don't like the texture. Usually I use hot press, but
But even look at the texture because you have the ink down first. So it's interesting how the
yeah.
watercolor is behaving,
You see how
right?
it's
Like the,
reacting? Yeah. It's
hmm.
like all this kind of granulation and stuff like that that's happening there.
Ralph is asking Danny, why did you choose that color of pencil?
The purple, because it doesn't really matter that much. It's probably going to vanish, and
Hmm.
but I did want to have a bit of line under there. It's probably going to end up completely being covered, so it doesn't really matter. But I did also like the way that it probably was going to work against the yellow. And then, like you
Hmm.
see this, I drew the stupid leaf here. I don't
Hmm.
like it, so I'm going to sort of scrub it away.
Beauty of water
Yeah,
pencil.
I'll
Hmm.
deal with it later on, but it just kind of vanishes because it's watercolor pencil. So I
Amy's
don't know what I'm
asking
going to do with the stem yet. Yeah, go ahead.
Amy's asking for drawing from a live subject. So Amy, we have a photo reference and it is the same photo reference, which is exciting. So you can see both of our takes on it. So
Yeah, we're both drawing from, I'm just going to put it up quickly. Here it is. We're both
there you
drawing
go.
from this.
Missed it.
And asked, we suggested that you take a screen grab of it later on.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, so now I have this big mush of wet watercolor. So I probably could, you know what? I'm going to give you 3 of my minutes, but then I want them back so I can
Okay.
wait for this to dry. So
Yeah, love it. Let me know when you want me to swap.
yeah, I'm ready when you are.
Okay.
This is it.
Okay, so here is my rose. And apart from, let me just activate the olive green that I put down because I did sneak in a little bit more. I think what I'm going to do is move to gouache now. So what I'm thinking is I want to get rid of some of the blue that's behind in the background, behind especially this foreground petal there. And I have some of the gouache already dispensed on my palette. And I'm using a small number 4 round Winsor Newton. And because I'm a watercolor artist primarily, I like to use gouache a little bit more like watercolor. So I'm adding a lot of water and I'm going to mix a pink. So I think I'll actually move a bit of red into this puddle. So I have the titanium white. Oop, looks like the white actually seeped into my red there. So because my background is blue, it's going to turn a little bit more violet because color theory, red and blue make violet. And I'm okay with that. I'm just going to kind of see how it goes. Oh, it is very bubblegum pink. So if I wanted to tone that pink down, and I'm actually going to switch brushes because the number 4 is just a little too small. I'll switch to my number 6. If I want to tone that pink down a little bit, maybe even grab a bit of green. And you're probably thinking, but now it's going to be really green. That's okay. I'm going to bring in some red. And it won't be as bubblegummy. You know what? Let's even pick up a bit of that yellow and see if we can tone it. So it may look a little bit muddy right now, but I think that pink was just too bright. So I'm going to tone it back a little bit and then bring more of that red in. So I want more of a muted pink, not that bubblegummy pink. There we go. And I'm going to fill the whole part of this flower and then start to use some of my white to bring in a little bit of highlight. I even like how that feels a little bit. I'm kind of inspired by Danny's because he is a little bit more expressive and I can see some of the yellow through. So maybe I'll even bring in some yellow. Maybe I won't look at the reference as well and focus more on what's happening on the page with this gouache. So remember we talked about gouache a little bit and how different it is from watercolor. I can layer light colors. Ooh, I really like that. I'm going to pull back a little bit of highlight here. I can even layer light colors using gouache. It's not something you can do using watercolor. Light over dark with watercolor doesn't work as well because it's not a layerable medium, but you can do that using gouache. So again, I'm just going to make my initial mix a little bit darker. And I'm kind of liking that highlight, even though it is a bit blue going through. And I'm even really enjoying that yellow. So I think what I'll try to do is to replicate it in these petals here. So I'm just putting a bit of gouache down. And again, because I'm a watercolor artist, I like things that are a little bit more transparent.
A lot of watercolor sets come with one thing of white gouache.
Yeah, I find it's not gouache, it's still watercolor, but it's very chalky. So I don't use it. So instead, I have a tube of gouache that I will reach for if I'm finding I need a little bit of highlight and want to use the gouache.
So it's
So
not
again,
gouache. It's usually called like Chinese white or something like that, right? It's
yeah, it's
it's
still watercolor.
it's still watercolor. So in other words, it has a transparent base as opposed to the opaque base.
Hmm. Yeah, oh, that's interesting. Very interesting. So then I feel like I need to pull that in here as well, and I can start to add a bit of interest. Maybe even these outer bits. Interesting. Let's add a little bit of
I
yellow
really
and
like the
see.
yellow in there. It's
Yeah, the yellow just gives it a little bit of warmth, right?
But one of the nice things about the petals is that they are sort of translucent, so you can sort of see shapes behind them.
Hmm.
Yeah, and colors
This
coming
one I
through.
want to stay a lighter color, so let's grab a little bit of that white. Maybe I'll even mix in this part of my palette. But it's nice, I think, a nice variety because we have that pencil line work, and I think I'll even accentuate that. And then our light background. So I feel like the rose was what I really wanted to be the focal point. Now you can't see the two leaves, but maybe when the rose is done, I'll go ahead and add a little bit more depth to, well, that's too light, to those leaves. And even leave some of that blue coming through. So it's similar to an underpainting with that blue coming through. A little bit too yellow. Let's tone that down. Even go back here. So again, just making decisions. So this petal back here, I kind of want the base to be a little bit more bold, and then fade out again too. So letting that blue shine through. And again, I know a lot of artists use underpainting. So whether it's like a warm burnt sienna or just a warm tone, it's not something I do, but it's something I definitely am playing around with when I'm working on my portrait skills. And I thought I would try it here today. So the
You should
blue.
try acrylic ink sometime under gouache. It's really nice because it
Yeah.
doesn't activate. So if you take like a bright color, like a orange or bright green or even a bright blue, and you just cover your whole page or your whole canvas with acrylic ink, let it completely dry, and then everything you paint on top of it, the gouache will cover all of it, but in the little cracks you'll see it in there, and it just makes everything feel alive and a little random. Because gouache can feel hard edged because of the opacity, right? Everything can feel, it can feel a little sharp, a little
Mm-hmm.
too
And I think
definite.
too, because it's matte, sometimes blending soft edges, like you said, it feels hard edged.
Yeah,
I'm liking that. I didn't expect.
it's really nice. It feels really volumetric, I guess is the term.
Just need a bit of more pink, I think, through here. So, I mean, the shadows are more of a bluey purple tone, but I'm liking that little bit of pink and yellow. And then at this point, so I love illustrations that are kind of like you can see pencil lines and then bold. So I'm not sure if I'll do anything to the leaves, but I feel like that emerald, no, the olive green, I need something that's a little bit just more muted, kind of more natural looking, right? So even if I don't activate this green, I am creating depth. And again, I'm looking at my computer screen. So sometimes if you're working on a piece, take a photo of it because it flattens the image, making it, one dimensional so you can see value a little bit more. Maybe I'll darken this one. What do you think? Should I add a bit of water to the pencil here?
why don't you do that and then go back on with another layer of pencil over it so you have like a, yeah.
You know what? A bigger brush. Because I do like that you can see the pencil lines. So the flower itself is a little bit fuller. How am I doing for time?
You have a minute and a half. Amy is asking if does anyone know if Nikki has her own channel? Yes, she does indeed.
Hello, Amy.
And there's a link to it in the description below. But yes, she has a fantastic channel and a really fantastic Instagram that you should absolutely follow.
Okay, so now I'm going to go back in, and you know what? I think I might even sharpen. Oh, do you want me to show you how I sharpen with a knife? Do we have time for that?
Sure. Why not?
Like quickly?
It's your
Okay.
time. You have a minute.
So be careful when you're using a knife. Make sure that you have your thumbs locked in and you are controlling how you move the pencil and knife carefully. So I'm going to pull back with my left hand and keeping my right hand stationary. It may look like it's opposite, but it's not. So when I do that, my knife doesn't move, but my left hand and the pencil moves. So can you see that okay? So I like to use a knife to sharpen graphite, watercolor, charcoal, just because I feel like the pencil doesn't break. And then I get like a nice long lead that I can work with. And then I have a little sanding block that I use to sand. I'm glad I had that handy because I know we talked about showing that. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So now
that's
while I
cool.
still sorry, go ahead.
You're out of time. Sorry.
Not bad. Okay. Tag me your turn.
Beautiful. I think it's coming out really beautifully. So,
Thank you.
yeah, very nice.
Do you want me to swap back?
I'll swap here. Yeah. So mine, while you were painting, I just took a hair dryer to mine
Okay.
and ended up with this. So I'm not done, but I kind of there's something about it that I really like.
It's expressive. Sure.
So yeah, I'll show how I sharpen pencil because the thing about colored pencils is a lot of times they break, right? People complain about that, right? It's like, oh, they're always breaking. Well, part of the reason
Yeah.
for that is because you don't have the right pencil sharpener. Don't use a regular graphite pencil sharpener when you sharpen colored pencils. Buy a specific colored pencil sharpener.
I've
Yes.
never heard of that. So
Yes.
what's the difference?
Just it's something about the blade. I don't know. It's the angle. I don't know. But all I can tell you is that when I sharpen with this, it doesn't break. It just I mean now I'll do it. Of course it'll break. But it's yeah it is because this is not graphite.
Right.
It's basically
Well,
wax, so it needs a
mhm,
different kind of a blade. So I don't know what the difference is, but
mhm.
if you go to Amazon, I forget what brand this is. It's three letters. I can't think of what it is right now. But just look for colored pencil sharpener. And
Colored
of course,
pencil.
being Amazon, it'll give you lots of pencil sharpeners that are different colors. Don't get those. Get one that is designed specifically for colored pencils. And it really makes a big difference. So what I'm thinking is that I'm going to try just colored pencil and try doing lines and doing something like that. So what I like about I like doing colored pencil over watercolor because it just has an oomph to it that when colored pencil is by itself, particularly if you're not activating it, it can feel, just like the gap between the lines can sometimes trouble me because you usually see the white below, so the white tends to just make it feel a little bit washed out. But if you have the color of the watercolor beneath it, it just gives it a kind of heaviness that's really nice. So
We have some of the viewers commenting it's KUM. Is that the one that you're using, Danny, the pencil sharpener?
It's. I don't think it is. I think
No.
it's.
Okay.
Okay, no, I want to say.
Maybe Danny will link in the comments
Yeah,
after.
I'll figure out what it is. I have it. I have it written down somewhere.
Does Newton have a
Winsor and
special
Newton
color?
doesn't make colored pencil sharpeners, as far as I know.
Yeah.
So
So Danny says no, I haven't seen them. I tend to use a knife or just I make sure it's stainless steel, like a steel blade pencil sharpener when I'm buying them. And better quality tends to mean you get a better sharpen. So you buy it once, take good care of it, it should last you forever, is my theory
that's
when it
true,
comes.
but not like one of those things that like bolts to the table and you turn a handle. Like colored pencils just need to be treated much more delicately, you know,
Or
because
practice with a sharp knife that I showed. It's kind of
yeah,
liberating. It's like connecting to your tools. When I
yeah,
first
I like
started
that.
doing it, I wasn't sure, but it's a neat way to kind of get warmed up and connect with your tools. So just please be careful.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Hmm. I like
All
that
right.
hatching.
Yeah, I love hatching. It's like it's so meditative, you know.
Mm. Now, will you add water? Is that your plan, or are
I
you
don't
not
know.
sure?
I'm not sure. I might do it in some places, and I might
Okay.
do it kind of as a suggestion of out of focus. You know,
Yeah.
like do the back ones more like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I just kind of want to have a lot of texture to it.
Mm-hmm.
And roses are not particularly textured, so it's a little bit of an odd choice. But and then I'm just layering different reds and pinks. But there's parts of it that I like. I mean, I really like this, the look of it in
Same.
there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say, don't go over it.
I know. I kind of want to leave that.
Yeah, I love that. That's like when I work on abstract pieces, there are bits of it that if you just cover them, right? Like there's so much happening in the way colors. Yeah, I love it. And I feel like your work is there's a style. Like I'm sure everyone will agree that when they see one of your pieces, they instantly recognize that it's Danny Gregory's,
You
right?
mean
Everyone?
you mean because it's messy and
No, it's expressive and it has personality and courageous.
well, thanks.
Amy's asking, yes, they are Winsor Newton watercolor pencils that they provided in our boxes, and I'm enjoying the waxy, highly pigmented feel and use.
Yeah, they're really rich colors. The
Yeah.
more you layer them, the more so. All right, so let's try. Let's see what happens if I just do a little bit of activation here, because I kind of want to retain some of the lines, but
Hmm.
but maybe retain the lines only in certain parts of it, or kind
Hmm.
of like then you can also do cross hatching with a brush, you know,
Hmm.
so it becomes less obvious what I'm doing. It's interesting working on top of this ink because there are places where the ink is thick and it's got that lacquer in it, so it's behaving totally differently as well.
Are you finding that the ink is moving at all, or is it staying put?
No, it's staying put, but it has a texture to it. So if it there are places like where I had this kind of a thing where it was thick and
Mhm.
that's dry, but it's sort of like a shiny three-dimensional thing there, you
Bit
see.
shellac, I guess.
Yeah, so that's different than watercolor. I just love those inks. What's also cool about those drawing inks of Winsor Newton's is like starting back, I think in the 60s, they got all these great illustrators to do the art for each of the boxes. And they change them periodically.
Hmm.
But they've had like some really, I think Ralph Steadman did one of them. And they just have had some interesting, cool artists making their things. I realized I didn't turn my timer on, so
Oh,
but
it's
you
10
owe
to
me
1.
3 minutes anyway. So
You can take them now.
So now I'm going to get thicker back here, and I'm just going to wash it out more. So it feels more like an explosion, and it's soft.
Glad that I can watch you. day one. I'm glad that we changed the format because it's interesting to see it live in real time.
Yeah, absolutely. That is part of that's the whole point of what we're doing, really. So
Lisa says Danny should do flowers more often.
I do love drawing flowers. They're nice and abstract. So now I've got to deal with this stuff.
I like
And
the green. I like that it's
yeah.
like translucent. Yeah.
Do you use a hair dryer for to dry stuff?
I actually have a craft dryer. It's like a gun, so it's not as loud or powerful. Because sometimes when you're working with watercolor, I don't want to disturb the water. Like I just want to lightly heat it to get it drying.
My favorite thing is to be on a live stream, pull out the hair dryer. I turn down the volume usually so you don't hear it, and then I run it and to the point where it blows out the fuse on my circuit breaker and everything goes out. I live in an old house. So that's part of my style. Completely.
Break stuff as you go.
Well, a thing I did once was I went through this phase where I was like, you know what's really cool is you can take your wet watercolors in your sketchbook and put it in the microwave. Yeah, sounds
I don't have
crazy.
a microwave, so I wouldn't be able to do that. But I'm
Well,
curious to
it's
see what.
worth buying one just to see what happens.
Yeah.
So what happened is I was doing that because basically you just throw it in the microwave and boom, it's dry. But it was a time when I was using this kind of fake gold leaf, and I had
Yep.
some in my sketchbook. And so on another page, I had been in Thailand and I had done all this stuff in Thailand with gold leaf, and then I came home and I did this painting and it was wet and I put it in the microwave, and suddenly the microwave went sparked and poof like that, and the whole thing turned off and it blew a hole. It literally burned a hole right through my sketchbook, and I still have that sketchbook, but it burned through because the microwave reacted with the gold leaf. So
Oh my gosh.
didn't
I
say
just
on the
shared.
box that would happen. So
Again, kids, don't do that at home. Be
exactly.
careful with the knife and the microwave, but don't put your sketchbooks if you have gold leaf in the microwave.
All right, I think it's time to go back to you.
Yeah, okay. I'm looking at mine and not kind of sure what I'm going to do, but I'm inspired by all
Well,
the
we were going to
different.
write labels, letter something, right?
Oh, you're my favorite love song. So
Yeah.
I'm not a romantic. We've had this conversation before we started, but I thought today for Valentine's, I think it's part of a song. Maybe someone will let me know if they're familiar with it. But I thought I would do maybe some lettering, but have it be subtle. I don't want it to take away from the flower. So maybe I'll start with the pink, and if you can't see, I'll change it up. But maybe you're my favorite love song just for Valentine's, and see
I
how
like
it
it.
goes. Yeah. So yeah, that let's start with the pink.
I see. So it's going
Your.
to be that soft. That's really cool. Yeah.
And then I wanted to maybe activate. So the blue when I first started felt like a really nice idea. Now I feel like it's a little bit flat.
Hmm.
So I love a bit of graffiti when I'm working on some of my abstract pieces.
So
So
you're
I
going to use
wonder,
spray paint?
yeah, spray
Spray paint would be
paint.
awesome.
We'll do love. And then I'm going to, I know you're thinking, Nikki, what are you doing? But trust the process. I'm going to activate it with some water. Your I did a whole piece where this is where I wrote a poem. It was about wandering that I actually wrote, and I used acrylic paint, and the whole piece is this kind of intuitive writing. I should show you a picture of it. And it's this poem, and I get compliments on it. I've hung it in my living room.
You
But
know
it's
what that kind of faded writing is called? I think I've got it right. It's called
I,
palmacets.
oh,
Palmacest?
really?
It means like faded writing that's like been written over. Yeah,
What other
it's a
color
word
should I
for
use? Danny, you choose. Did a
it.
light pink, a big Maybe some
How
yellow?
about, yeah, I was going to say yellow, something that would be, or
Oh,
even a
let's
light
do,
blue, even a light blue. I would keep it all in the
yeah,
coolness. Yeah.
I'm thinking a light blue,
Yeah, light blue.
ice gray, or maybe this is Zur. Yeah, let's do
That's
that.
nice. Yeah.
And then I'll go across again. So your, my, and then I just look for empty spaces. And then, so you can't really tell sort of what's behind it. And even if I were to leave it like that, it would be cool. But I'm going to take my big Winsor and Newton round brush, or you could even use a flat. So this is a number 10. Get a lot of water on it. And that just gives it a bit more personality, I think. It was looking kind of flat.
I like the energy that it will give. Yeah.
Yeah?
It's like you're not really meant to read it, but it's kind of like sizzling in the background, right?
Yeah, it's the intention, right? And then even in here feels a little bit too bright, so I can start to move that around. Oh, I'm happy I did that. And then even while it's wet, if I want to, I can go back and fill in some space. But this is where I would even pick up my piece, hold it up away from me, or take a photo,
Mm.
right? I don't know. There's something magic about taking a photo and sitting with your piece a little bit to decide what it needs. Like even in here, you know what? I might mix a
Yeah,
bit of
here it is.
green.
Palma. Shit, it's so large.
Oh,
Sorry, what the hell? There you go.
mix a bit of a dark green. So I'm mixing.
Palmapest. Palimpest? Palimpest. It sounds like pest. No, but palimpsest. Palimpsest? I don't know.
There's another that I thought started with the letter A. I might have to look it up. So I just mixed a little bit of the green gouache with some black. That might be too dark. So
That's bold.
again,
That's bold as hell.
bold as hell. But we're going to lighten it. So again, when you're working with wet medium, you're in control while it's still
Knock it
wet.
back.
Yeah, knock it back with a wet. So I'm just
That was a good
rinsing my
idea.
brush.
That was a really good idea.
Well,
It pulled that leaf away from the background and it made it as dimensional. Because the rose was looking really dimensional and the leaves were not looking, they were looking more 2D.
yeah, too much white space there, even here.
You know what they're talking about? They're talking about eyelash dryers.
Eyelash dryers. I
Yeah.
was a makeup artist in a past life. What are eyelash dryers? I've never
It
heard of
melts
them.
the glue when you put on fake eyelashes, I guess.
Oh, I guess when you're doing extensions, is
Yeah.
that
Kate says it's tiny, portable, rechargeable. So you can take it anywhere.
that's cool actually for traveling. Ooh,
This
I'm
is
glad
so
I
annoying.
added
Sorry.
that.
It's all over that. Never mind. Take my word for it. That's what Kate said.
Okay. So yeah, I'm glad I did add a little bit to the leaves. I like that there is a bit of white space. I'm happy that I did the background a bit too. I feel like,
That's nice. Yeah.
yeah, I'm
It
pleased
looks
with
like a
it.
found object in a way, like as if you'd like put a flower on top of a note. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm done. I'm gonna drop that brush like a microphone.
There you go. All right. Well, we are out of time, but I'm going on. I don't care. If everybody wants to
Okay.
leave, go ahead because I want to do the lettering as well.
Yay, that's awesome. Okay.
But I want to try doing it with a brush.
You know what? And please don't drink your paint water. I had grabbed mine a few times thinking it was my tea.
No, I keep it off in a whole other area, so it's far away from my water. I've learned that trick too many times. So what is it? You're my favorite love song?
You're my favorite love song. JJ.
Oh, I wasn't going to say. I was going to send it to. Yeah, you're right. I should probably send it to JJ.
Kathy says let's stay for another hour. I know it's like it goes by quick and it's been fun. So I'm glad you're enjoying it and can stay with it.
That was the timer.
Ooh, Bonsai Zen Girl says, "Oh, I see a heart on it, Nikki. I'm going to look for the heart. I'm happy with it. And are you using watercolor or gouache?
Watercolor.
Nice.
I want to be able to do it like you, so I'm trying to ape your style.
I think your lettering style is amazing.
You know, I always had terrible handwriting, but there's certain people, including my mother. My mother has really nice handwriting, and I just sort of decided to focus on improving my handwriting. Not my handwriting continues to be terrible, but who cares about handwriting? Nobody ever reads your handwriting anymore, right?
Well, when I used to teach calligraphy, I'm the same. I envied people, in school who had beautiful penmanship. But when I learned to draw letters, my calligraphy is you wouldn't believe that it was written by the same person. If
Right.
you look at my handwriting and calligraphy, because I feel like that you're drawing, you're not actually writing.
Well, I
Writing
heard
is
this
different.
thing recently with somebody saying, "Oh, you know, your handwriting is." I mean, there's no question that handwriting is drawing in a way, right? But they're saying like if you have great handwriting, you know, you'll be great at drawing, and I just don't see any necessarily connection at all.
I actually studied handwriting analysis when I was younger because I was fascinated
Oh,
by how much you can tell about a person through their handwriting. And even, from like a crime perspective, they can look at handwritten notes and see
sure.
when you're lying or if you're guilty. So, yeah, it's really graphology.
Graphology.
I was interested. Danny, have you heard of the term Greeking? It's when there are scribbles in place of actual font in an art piece.
Yes,
Greeking.
30 years in advertising, so I did a lot of Greeking. Or Greeking is what we always use in advertising to indicate like where the copy would go in a layout. So,
Interesting. Being someone who's of Greek descent, I'm curious where that came from.
well, the irony is also that I don't know if you've ever heard of lorem ipsum, but there's like a whole chunk
Mhm.
of copy that people use when they do Greeking, lorem ipsum, and it just goes on and on. The irony is it's Latin, it's not Greek, but it's called Greeking.
Mhm.
Yeah. Greek,
Interesting.
Latin, whatever. All right, well, that's my ode to your lettering.
Yay, you're my favorite love song.
So, yeah, I think what might be nice is to wash this out. So maybe I'll let it dry and then kind of
Okay.
rinse it a bit, throw it in the microwave, see what happens.
Okay. Should we put our side by side?
Let's do it.
Let's do it and show it. Neat how different they are. And I think that's the really cool thing about this week is our personalities
Use
and
my
their
camera.
styles come.
Whoa. Sorry. Sorry, something insane is happening here.
Amy's asking, Nikki, any life experiences like my big fat Greek wedding? Yes. I have a cousin named Nick and another cousin named Nick. And it's our wedding was very similar.
Really?
Oh my gosh, I love the yellow. And again, like look at how just strikingly different they are, but interesting. Yours have
Yeah, mine did not turn out at all the way I had planned it to turn out, but I actually kind of like it. I kind of did some experimental things I haven't done before with it. And
yeah, it's
yours is
very.
just, I just love how much space there is in yours, how much dimension. It's really cool.
I'll definitely play with the gouache more with the watercolor pencils as an underdrawing. I like that. And yours, again, it feels like abstracted and expressive. There's an artistic style, which I am envious and loving. I'm seeing it throughout all of your work this week. So it's pretty cool.
Well, that's good. Exciting. All right, I guess we should wrap this up. Let's
Okay,
go
let's do it.
back here. Well, good. Well, I know that you're not a romantic, but I'll still wish you a happy Valentine's Day.
And I wish you a happy Valentine's, and I hope you enjoy
Yes.
your evening with JJ tonight.
Thank you.
We'll be
Yes, we're gonna
ordering
have.
and watching a rom com, I think. So, yes, I'm a little bit romantic.
We're going to a restaurant called Valentine, so it's going to be very nice. So yes, so tomorrow we have day 4 of our creative kickstart, And tomorrow is, what are we doing tomorrow?
Food.
Food, yes.
It'll be
We're going to do
fun.
food, and we're going to do sort of maybe infographic lettering. I think we end up doing lettering every time, so we'll probably end up doing some lettering as well. But we're thinking about food, and I don't know. We have a bunch of reference
Maybe
pictures.
timed. We'll do timed. We'll pick an image and we can do like a whole spread. Do you want to do that? Maybe pump up the excitement a little that way? Challenge
Yeah, I
yourself?
mean, I like doing like I. There's a thing that we do with Draw with Me sometimes. We'll do the same drawing: 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds, 15 seconds, 10 seconds.
Feel
Same
a little
thing.
stressed, but I'm going to try. And I'm
No, I don't
going
think we'll do that. I think we'll do that, but let's do some time drawings. Let's do like some 2 to 3 minute drawings,
okay.
and I'll have to see. I'll figure out how we can. I think we'll have to put the reference up, and then boom, we go 3 minutes, and then we do a whole page of it. So we'll end up with like a page of like just
A nice
food.
spread. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'll be
I'm
fun.
digging.
Woof. All right. This was another exciting, action packed day. To go back here, I just want to remind you that if you have made a rose and you would like to share it, hashtag ArtKickstart2024, put it on Instagram, tag it so we can find it, because next week we're going to gather all the different things that you made this week, and we're going to make a little video out of all of them and share them so we can all see what we've all been doing. Amy wants to know, is there any way to see your other live videos from this week? Of course.
Mhm.
Just go
Mhm.
to, they're on both of our channels, and just go and look on the homepage. I have a whole
Mhm.
playlist just of these things. We've done 3 of them so far, and we have 2 to go. So yes, by all
Yes.
means,
So
please watch them all, and share any of the things you've done from this Kickstart program on our Kickstart 2024. All right. Well, thank you again. Thanks to Winsor Newton for our watercolor pencils and watercolors and all the other stuff we've been playing with. And I don't know. I think Winsor Newton has just given us like latitude to do whatever the hell we want, which is really fun and nice. And I'm glad of it. So thank you, Nicki. Thanks for doing this. I hope you feel better tomorrow,
thank you. Me too.
but you've certainly pushed through today, and you were a
And I'm happy
trooper.
with my results. I'm not touching it.
There we go. You're not going to do
Yeah.
anything more? I don't think I'll do anything more either. I might wash it out a bit, but I'm going to post it on our channel, and I'll post yours too. So send them to me, and we'll see you tomorrow at same
Amazing.
bat
See you,
station, same
everyone.
bat time. Bye. Now, if we can figure out how to turn this off.